It's loose at the 27.
I think they got it back.
Like the Texans have jumped on the ball.
They look like three Chiefs had a chance to get it, and one Texan came diving in there.
Well, Gay's got the ball.
He's got the ball, but are they going to say, look, there's a big discussion there. So are they going to say Texans had the ball and Gay took it away from him? No,
the
they're going to
Chiefs
say
have
Gay
gotten the
got it.
ball.
I think that was a very appropriate call of the moment where the Texans let a tie or a victory slip through their hands as they're now 1-12-1 after covering the spread but losing to the Kansas City Chiefs 30-24 yesterday in overtime. Good morning, afternoon, everybody. It is the Paul Gallant Show, the most interactive sports talk show in Houston, on this Monday, December 19th of 2022. Look, they kept it close. Can we call it a moral victory Monday? You've covered the spread against the Eagles. Look at what that team is on the road. They're undefeated. Covered the spread against the Dallas Cowboys. Covered the spread against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, it could have been worse, right? Sean Mapes is behind the glass. Sean, did you find yourself enjoying Sunday's Texans-Chiefs game at any moment? You had to have.
Yeah. The last 2 weeks have been very, I would just say, enjoyable, watchable Texans football.
We touched on this while we were discussing what we were going to talk about today before the show. How, if this happened earlier in the year, you might feel okay about this. But we're at the point now where there's really nothing that could possibly appease you the rest of the way, even if the Texans, completely shorthanded for this game, hung in there with Kansas City. Like, nothing was going to change it now that they've lost 9 in a row. You can't embrace a moral victory at this point in the year.
Exactly. Like, if it was week 6 or week 5 and these 2 weeks happen, you could at least be like, well, they only have one win, but they're better than the record says. It's, been a tough stretch.
Yeah.
And they hung in with some good teams. It's like,
nope, can't do that.
We already know this team's bad. We already know that Davis Mills ain't it.
Right. We knew that like week 2. So to put it in your hands, what we do with this show going forward, I want to know how we can best talk about this team. Because I know a lot of you, when you hear us discuss the Texans at all, you get annoyed. Oh, you sound like you did when you were on the flagship station. And to an extent, I get that. There is an NFL team that plays in the city. It is just they are so foreign from the idea of being an NFL team. So what do we do? Do we do what they do on those television shows where they're making the big bucks? I want to make big bucks. Sean wants to make big bucks. If you've watched those television shows like Speak for Your Pizza and all those other fantastic works of debate art, you'll see people throw out outlandish takes that they don't even believe. Should we go that direction? So it's the most interactive sports talk show in Houston, so you can text in 713-780-3776, 713-780-ESPN, your worst Texans take. Just send something bad in, and maybe we can entertain it and have a crazy argument with ourselves. Like we're somebody who's, sitting on the corner of the street, who's maybe been panhandling for a couple of years, who's seen some stuff, who's done some stuff, who has a different outlook on life. We could look at it from that perspective. Otherwise, I guess we got to just comb through, Sean, the relentless positivity that you are getting from the Texans head coach. Look, I don't know what Lovie Smith is supposed to do out there, but let's just drift through a press conference about 10 minutes long where you continuously heard things that make you cringe because you can't say all of this stuff to a jaded fan base that hates everything. But Lovie Smith, after the loss, said, even though we didn't finish, we're building.
Yeah, we're looking for some positives. We're not going to the playoffs. We realize that. You know, the last couple of weeks, the two teams we played, I think both of them have a chance to win it all. So for us to see, you know, this year where we are, but to see what we can be. We have some injuries, and I really like the guys that stepped up. You know, two corners, you know, our receivers aren't playing. So there are some positives to build on.
But are there? I mean, the people who are playing right now aren't going to be playing for most teams in the league, as in getting on the field next year. This is why you're throwing out some of these players that you haven't really heard of, and why it's Tremont Smith playing cornerback and Chris Moore playing wide receiver. Sure, they're doing all right, but next time we're in this spot, like you don't expect these guys to be there. Say it's 2023, you know? What are you building towards? You are trying to just finish this, and you are hoping, if you're on the Texans coaching staff, that people will look at your roster and say, it's not my fault, Lovie Smith or Pep Hamilton. And I don't really know what can be done by these two who continuously find ways to make mistakes from that perspective, from making calls, from playing players, from being conservative in spots where you just shouldn't be. They continuously step on their own feet on that front. But Lovie Smith, he's looking for those positives. And he continued to talk about those positives at his press conference yesterday.
And with the first half, you guys had a 14-7 lead. You planted there in midfield. What was the decision there? What kind of your thought there? And then also, with 8 seconds to go, did y'all feel like y'all could get within Chinese range?
No, and no. Right before, you're talking about when we punted the ball? Yeah. We had a lead. Thought we were playing pretty good. I kind of liked the position we're in. Backed them up a little bit. I do the same thing again in that situation, too.
See, that's the worst part. He's asked about a couple of moments where they were conservative. Right before halftime, instead of going for it on 4th and 1, they punt the ball. A week after allowing a 98-yard touchdown drive to the Dallas Cowboys, the Chiefs get to go 97 yards right before halftime and score a touchdown. They had the lead. They're feeling good about themselves. Why? Lovie Smith is a defensive-minded coach. He knows what defenses are. Why are you putting faith in that defense? And why aren't you just saying, screw it, let's be aggressive? Because you walk away with a moral victory, I guess, because it got to overtime. You're feeling good about it. And he said the same thing, too, at the end of regulation. You needed 16 yards to get into field goal range. I mean, I get that it could have been worse. You could have run a drop play and had that running back run to the right sideline, lateral to a wide receiver who would run 10 yards behind and then throw the ball back to a fat quarterback who gets pancaked by a pass rusher who catches the pass and scores a walk-off overtime touchdown. Like, you could have done that at the end of regulation. So I suppose in kneeling the ball, you avoided that possible embarrassment. But, I don't know, maybe try to get those 16 yards to get in range for Kyrie Fairbairn? Just a thought. There's more positive Lovie Smith to comb through over the course of today's show. I think that's the most frustrating part right now. Lovie Smith just remains positive. And I don't want to hear the positivity. I don't want to hear it. I would rather have Bill Belichick grunting and making weird sniffling noises while awkwardly giving 2-word responses to any questions questioning his genius. I would much prefer that to what we're getting with Lovie at this point in time.